talk about it on the interwebs, into the ether of the internet and all of its glory, and talk it out with you fine folks on Facebook, where a lot of you guys are. A lot of people who have liked the Pod Cavern are on Facebook, and I said, hey, let's give back to the people. Let's stream directly to you. So yeah, that's what we're doing here today. We'll also be probably making a podcast feed of it. So if you haven't had, since it's a live stream show, you guys might be driving home from work. You might miss this entire conversation, might not be part of it. But I figured, hey, why don't we make a separate podcasting feed for later, and you can give me all your thoughts about that later too. So today's episode of Talkin' Tongue, we're looking at this. Look at this. We're looking at God of War, Deadpool 2, and Solo, a Star Wars story. Now, we're kind of, the idea is to make a roundup of my favorite pop culture topics that has recently, that are recent. So, I've been playing a lot of God of War. I just watched Deadpool 2, and last night I saw Solo, a Star Wars story. So I have a lot to say about all of it. Please feel free to chime in. I'm sure you have quite a bit to say about that as well. But I want to start off with Deadpool. Before I start with that, I'll just say that these are just random thoughts. I really spent more time trying to figure out how the live stream would work rather than thinking about what I was going to say. So good luck, I guess, to me. So we'll see how that goes. I also like to thank Samantha Leggett once again for making the artwork for the Pod Cavern. She's done so many amazing things. She's actually been on the podcast of Ranked. But once again, she created awesome podcast artwork for us, and there you go. She made it out of this little drawing I did out of crayon, and the end product I think is pretty cool. So let's get going on. We're talking about Deadpool. So I'm just gonna pull this up here. See, look at that. Oh, hang on. Still trying to get used to this whole live producing thing. Anyways, so Deadpool 2. Wow. Okay, so I thought this show or this movie was awesome. The very first Deadpool came out and it opened big. It was made out of like $50-60 million, and it was one of the biggest things that has come out for comics in general, for especially R-rated comics, comic book movies. So that was 2 years ago when we had Deadpool 1 directed by Tim Miller, and now we have Deadpool 2, which is directed by a separate guy, David Leitch. I don't know exactly how to say it. But it's been 2 years since the original Deadpool, and here we are, kind of afraid of the merc with the mouth, that maybe he's just would break the fourth wall too many times and it wouldn't be that funny anymore. But here we are, and it turns out, spoilers, that Deadpool 2 is actually a good movie. It's actually really fun. Just gonna say hi to my good friend Jordan Gooding over here. Hello. I'm your daddy. Yes, I am. Yeah, so Deadpool 2. It's Deadpool 2. I would say that, and I want to make it clear that I'll do my best not to spoil the movie. So if I'm going to get into spoilers, I'm going to put up this little spoiler image right here. See that? Look at that. I'll try to put a little sound effect here that says, spoilers are coming. I'll do my best to get on top of that. But I really felt like it's really hard to tell the difference between Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool. Where does Ryan Reynolds begin and where does Deadpool end? They're basically the same person nowadays. And it's great. I can't even imagine a better person to play Deadpool. This movie was met with a lot of praise and well-deserved, because it's a funny movie. It's a lot of fun. It's a great way to start the summer. And in my opinion, is Deadpool 1 or Deadpool 2 better? I would say I probably had more shock and awe with Deadpool 1, so that made it probably still my favorite Deadpool movie is the first one. But I still really enjoyed my time with Deadpool 2. I guess the common criticism was that Deadpool breaks the fourth wall too much. He's a bit too meta, but I mean, that's kind of what you signed up for when you watch that movie. So if that's not for you, whatever. There's a lot of good action to be had in that movie. And yeah, I believe the director, David Leitch, he directed Atomic Blonde, which I didn't see. It's that the female John Wick with Charlize Theron. And so the actual like hand-to-hand combat in this movie is freaking awesome. I won't do a recap of the movie because I don't really want to spoil it, but I guess the whole movie in general is Deadpool is trying to find out what it's like to have a family, or what is family all about. So he pitches it and tells the audience that this is a family film, and that he should care about this new mutant, Russell Collins, aka Fire Fist. Great name. If I was a superhero, I would probably end up calling myself Fire Fist. Very, very on the nose with that one. And yeah, it's done. I forget the actor's name. Julian Dennison or something like that. He's like a New Zealand actor in one of my favorite films that's come out in the last couple of years, by Taika Waititi, the guy that did Thor Ragnarok and What We Do in the Shadows, that vampire mockumentary. But Julian Dennison was in another Taika Waititi movie, and that was Hunt for the Wilder People. So when they said they were bringing in this kid to play Fire Fist, I was like, I'm on board. This kid is awesome. And he is. He's 15 years old, and he has the comedic chops of someone who's far older and far wiser than him, or probably. But this kid, he's amazing. I loved it. And let's talk a little bit about, Cable, because Cable is kind of like the new introduction of, yes, Joseph, Wilder People represent. I agree. Isn't it a great movie? It's awesome. What I was going to say, Joe, you distracted me. Cable. Yes, Cable. So Cable, in the comic books, I'm glad they didn't spend too much time on Cable in the comics, or how he's represented in the comics, because Cable, he's kind of a complicated backstory in the comics. He's basically Cyclops' son. Cable's name's Nathan Summers, Scott Summers' son, and he's the offspring of, I believe, Jean Grey's clone or something weird like that. And Cable has something called the technovirus, so he has like this metallic arm, this robot arm that you've seen in the trailers now, and they send him to the future to fight off this virus or something like that, and all this comic book bullshit that they don't explain it all in this movie. All you have to know is Cable's in the future. He's dark. He's brooding. They make a joke about that. He's really meta, and that he's like a DC character, which I thought was really funny. And yeah, just going back to like how funny this movie is. Like they lean hard on the humor and the comedy, and they do that in the first movie. But in this movie, they spend a lot of time trying to, interestingly enough, kind of flesh out Deadpool's character, not just being like this, just a jokester. They give him kind of a loss at the beginning of the movie, and then throughout the movie, he's just trying to develop as a character, even though he's still kind of quippy and stuff, which I really liked. But anyways, going back to Cable, I thought they just did a really great job with him. I would have liked to seen more Cable, and I guess we will. I've heard Fox, depending on how this Fox-Disney deal goes down, they said that the next Deadpool movie was probably going to be an X-Force movie, Wakanda Forever. I wish they made a Wakanda Forever joke, because Deadpool literally does this in the movie. They're going to do an X-Force movie and focus more on like the team aspect, and then that way we'll see even more Cable. So let's see, what else did I write here? I guess we're kind of go into like spoiler territory, so I'll just go ahead and put up that spoiler image. Oops, crap. Nope. There we go. Hang on. Oh man. See, technical difficulties all around, folks. Let's just move some stuff around. There we go. And if I put this up here, this is what happens when you live produce something. Look at that. All that technical difficulty just for that. Oh boy. I think I just drove everyone insane down there. Um, let's see. Hey, Laura, currently biting me. Oh, Trip. I miss that cat. I'm just talking about Joe's cat on Facebook Live here. Yeah, I want to get into a little bit of spoiler territory here. I'll just flash this button a little bit. And I'm just going to talk about like my favorite parts in the movie. So I thought first of all, the James Bond opening I thought was really cool. So, spoilers: Marina Baccarin's character dies very early in the movie, which some people are like an outrage. Oh my God, you killed off a main character right off the get-go. But I mean, she's kind of like the driving force between, or for why Deadpool is trying to do what he does throughout the movie, and she comes out quite a bit throughout the movie. Let's see. There's a really cool action scene with Domino where she's kind of like, her superpower is luck, which could be kind of cheesy, but they pull it off really well here when everything misses her and she can shoot every shot and she's really good at driving. There is a secret cameo with Juggernaut. So everyone's favorite Juggernaut. I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. He says something like that in X-Men Origins or something like that. But anyways, they bring back Juggernaut, Charles Xavier's brother, who's huge. He's a CGI character. And yeah, I thought that was quite an awesome cameo for another X-Men character. And there's another, they make a joke about, we have the budget this time for more X-Men characters. I think the budget of this movie was like twice the amount, like 110 million or something like that. But they actually have a cameo of all the other X-Men's who are like kind of hiding in the door, which was a really fun part. Let's see, what else do I have here? Dopinder, he's the taxi cab driver the first movie. Thought that guy was really fun. He has a really cool kind of mini arc where he just wants to be a superhero, and he has some really fun moments. And here's a super spoiler, so I'm gonna go ahead and flash this button a couple more times. Spoiler, is that they built up the X-Force a lot in the trailers. They're like, the X-Force is the new thing. You see in the posters, you see footage of Shatterstar, that the Louis Tan's character fighting with swords, his crazy hair, and everyone else doing this crazy stuff. And as soon as they have the recruitment of the X-Force, which is awesome, and then you have that plane sequence where everyone jumps out of the plane with our good guy Peter, who's just the regular human being on the X-Force, and they instantly kill everyone. So I died laughing just seeing that part. I mean, I can't believe how much marketing they put into the X-Force, and Terry Crews being like, I love being part of this movie, blah, blah, blah. And then within like 10 minutes of the X-Force being introduced, they don't actually get to accomplish much. They jump out of the plane and they all die brutal deaths, which made for one of the best gags I've seen in movies in a long time. The very ending is there's a time, like, so they fix Cable's time travel kind of mechanism, and there's a really, like, he goes back and saves Vanessa, Marina Baccarin's character, but they also save Peter, one of the X-Force guys, that regular guy. But there's a really fun part where they go back in time and they use footage of X-Men Origins and kill off the really terrible Deadpool. So that was good on Fox for recognizing how bad that X-Men Origins movie was and how completely butchered they did Deadpool in that movie. And so this Deadpool goes back, kills this Deadpool, or X-Men Origins Deadpool, and it's just fun stuff. And then Deadpool goes back in time and kills himself. So it's super meta. Ryan Reynolds kills himself, and you see him looking at like a Green Lantern kind of like script page, and he's like, this is genius, I'm gonna make millions, or whatever to that effect, and boom, he kills himself. So that's the end of the spoilers there. If anyone in the comments, let's check it out. It's just X-Force, not the X-Force. Who is this guy? Says Taylor Fleming. It's like the X-Force. Yeah, I'm trying to make it like the Facebook, where I'm Justin Timberlake and I just say drop the. So you're that guy. You're Justin Timberlake, Taylor. Thank you for sharing that. So without further ado, let's move on. I'm gonna close this guy here. If anyone wants to say anything about their favorite Deadpool moments, I'm all ears. I thought Teenage Negasonic Warhead was turning the time machine thing into Deadpool's comic book teleporter. I I don't know that reference. You'll have to tell me a little bit more about that. I've only read a couple Deadpool comics, so you have to elaborate that. Oh, Taylor Fleming, yes, friend of the show. He always wants to be referred to a friend of the show to prove that he is friends. So I also want to, while they're kind of chatting it out in the comments here, I want to just bring up this here. I kind of pulled this up earlier, but we have Celine Dion. She made a new song just for Deadpool. She has this amazing, pretty awesome James Bond-esque song, and we have Deadpool, like a Deadpool music video. And I'm gonna fast forward a bit. You got Deadpool dancing around, and I have to say, above all else, I think even if you might be a little bit tired of Deadpool, I think the marketing on this character is just completely spot on. So, marketing team, bravo, you did it. Awesome job. Some really good stuff. Okay. All right, Deadpool. I'm going to close you down here. And close. Let's see. Let's check back with chat here. His belt has a teleporter on it. DP teleports around and breaks shit, basically, I think. Joseph, Taylor, both friends of the show. Thank you for informing the audience about that. You might be right. You guys should be on Talking Tongue. The next Talking Tongue. Talking Taylor, jabbering with Joe. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to something different here. We're going to move on to a hit video game series. And hang on, let me just get a sip of water here. On an unedited podcast episode, there's not a lot of time to drink. You got to fill a lot of dead air. So I'm not used to that. But here, this podcast episode brought to you by kombucha. Laura and I made kombucha for the last 11 days now. She's really worrisome. And here it is. We made lemon and ginger kombucha. I think it tastes pretty good. Laura thinks it tastes like syrup. She's wrong. It's good for you, I swear. Buy my kombucha. $10.99 a bottle. Not actually. I don't know. But yeah, been working on some fun projects. Oh, damn, that's refreshing. Real talk, I think it was the best for the series to make Reynolds share the screen. I agree. That's completely true. I mean, too much Deadpool. There is such thing as too much Deadpool. I would completely agree with that. Imagine they did what Star Wars did, which we will talk in a bit, and make a Star Wars film every year. Well, they are doing that, but make a Deadpool movie every year. Be too much. Let's move on. I want to talk about God of War. Now, this technically is an April release, but I want to shoehorn a video game, and these days I don't play a lot of video games. I just bought myself a PlayStation 4 Pro, which I'm very excited about. And then 2 weeks later, the CEO of PlayStation's like, hey, I'm going to just say right here, right now, that I think the PlayStation 4 is on the last of its legs. Like, this is the final phase of the PlayStation 4. And I'm like, fuck. But whatever. I was able to play God of War, which was very exciting. And I mean, looking forward to all the other games I missed out on in these last little while. I'm just going to move a little bit. God of War. Let's see. Like, this series has been started, I believe, in the PlayStation 2 era, where you got this really, really angry Greek soon-to-be god Kratos, and he becomes the God of War. Spoilers for God of War, like, 1. But it was incredible. Like, this is a series that nobody asked to be made. Like, when God of War 1, 2, and 3 came out, we're like, awesome. Even God of War 3, we're like, I'm kind of tired of this gameplay. By the end of it, I was like, all right, I'm satisfied, but, I don't need to play another one for a while. And then 2 years later, they made like 2 more PSP games, and then God of War Ascension, which is like this weird multiplayer game. I have no idea. And then people are like, hey, listen, Santa Monica, the studio, we're tired of this. We don't need to do this anymore. So when they announced this game, people were like, I don't know how I feel about this. But this game is probably the most popular console game, because everyone knows the most popular game right now is like Fortnite and Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, so PUBG. But for like a single player experience, we have this game which sold 5 million copies in its first month. It's actually quite ridiculous. And I was kind of wondering, like, where do you go? You've literally killed Zeus at the end of God of War. And they did something that I've never seen any game do. They kind of like, all right, well, if Greek mythology exists in this world, how about on the other side of the world, Norse mythology exists in this world? So they can technically do God of War forever because they can just bring in whatever religion they want. Imagine Kratos going head to head with a giant Buddha and they're just fighting it out. That'd be kind of awesome. Let's see here. Megan Murphy, make the rest of this about kombucha, please. That's what I came here for. Laura, if you're still listening, please send Murph a SCOBY. SCOBYs are like this weird bacteria fungus looking thing. They look gross. They feel gross. They're very slimy. But I'm telling you, it's the secret sauce for kombucha. So moving on. So again, I don't want to get into spoiler territory until the end. I'll put up a spoiler icon wherever. Is it this way? This way? I don't know. And I won't get too much into spoilers. But this game is really about Kratos and how old he's gotten. He's grown a beard, for God's sakes. Look at his kind of really old gray beard, kind of long and perfectly shaven. He's really good at shaving. He's really good at trimming his beard. But Kratos, he's kind of tired of it. He's like, I don't fucking want to fight anymore. I've killed so many people. There's been so much bloodshed. My family died in the first game, and I got all this revenge. And then at the very opening of the game, you don't even get to see Kratos' wife. She's already dead, and her last wish is to, and it sounds kind of selfish, but her last wish is literally go to the highest point in all of the realms to spread my ashes. And you're like, all right, am I climbing a little mountain? Am I climbing a hill? Whatever. No, they go on like a 30+ hour journey just to, spread Kratos' wife's ashes to the wind, which, it goes to show how, romantic he is. So, kudos to him. And so throughout this journey, you see Kratos and Atreus. Atreus, like this young boy who's just learning how to fight, has never really talked to his father before. And you kind of just see their dynamic just grow drastically throughout this adventure here. I find it really fun that Atreus is really well educated. He knows how to read everything, and Kratos literally cannot read anything on the walls. Every time you look at like this ancient drawing, or you could be like just the English alphabet, Kratos would be like, what is this, boy? How do I read this thing? Oh god, ABCs, stupid Kratos, I just know how to fight. Angry. So that was really fun. And I think Kratos says boy at least, 1,000 times throughout the entire game. So it's very, very entertaining. We have a lot of fun side characters that show up in the game too. We have 2 dwarves that look completely different. One's blue, one looks like a human, Sindri and Brock, which makes for a fun comedic duo, which actually have their own arc throughout the game too. We have Mimir, which is like the severed head who just kind of joins Atreus and Kratos throughout their journey, so that's really fun too. Gameplay is really fun too. They changed everything about the gameplay in this game. Before it was like button mashing and quick time events to kill all these big bosses, big spectacle. There's still that spectacle, but this game's a lot slower paced. There's lots of puzzles, environmental puzzles. You throw your axe. By the way, the axe throwing in this game is the most satisfying gameplay element I've seen in video games in a long time. The fighting's really fun. Once you get used to it, it's really great. The only thing I didn't really care for in this game, even though it's getting perfect 10s everywhere, is crafting. You craft all your items, you craft all your gear, and you have kind of like a Destiny, Dark Souls kind of mishmash of upgrading your armor, and that's how you fight too, is Dark Souls-esque. So you'll be dying a lot. But crafting in this game is you think you'd be able to grind out enemies to find these materials to make your armor happen or crafted, but you don't. You kind of just do your thing, and if you get the items to craft a thing, great. If you don't, then whatever. let's see here. I won't spend too much more time on God of War here, but yeah, it's super challenging, very frustrating when you die a million times. I think I spent there's like these end game kind of side fighting bosses that you can do that are really hard called Valkyries, and I remember staying up to like 2 in the morning where Laura's probably like, go to bed, go to bed. It's like 2 in the morning. And I'm like, no, I gotta fight these Valkyries. I have a purpose in life, and it's just to beat this video game boss. And you know what? It's all worth it. It's all worth it. I'm just for context, I'm still playing this game. I think I'm almost done. I already beat the main game. I just gotta fight a couple more Valkyries here, but I'm completely enjoying it. I am not one to go back to a video game after I finished it. This game, I for some reason just super compelled to just keep playing. Megan Murphy, you know what else is a fun video game? Animal Crossing. That's true, but not for the, like the Animal Crossing for your phone. Like that game, it's so frustrating. I wish it was better. Once it comes to Nintendo Switch, I'll be right there. I'll be right there. I'll buy it first day. Speaking of Nintendo Switch, a little side tangent. Is anyone excited for Let's Go Pikachu or Let's Go Eevee, that like Pokemon Go companion game? I think it looks kind of cool. It might get me back to playing Pokemon Go, which is very dangerous because Laura likes to play Pokemon Go everywhere and she doesn't look up when she's playing. So I feel like we're both going to like ram into a fence or walk in like the highway because we're just trying to catch a Mewtwo or something. Last thoughts I want to say about God of War here, and I'll put up the spoiler alert once again. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Little sound effect for spoilers. Bam. There's a part in the game where you get the Blades of Chaos. So like, that's so exciting. The Blades of Chaos are like Kratos's main chain fire blades that he gets in the first like 3-4 games, and they're just really satisfying. You kind of forget about that. Like at the beginning of the game, you're like, where's the Blades of Chaos? And then you get used to this amazing axe, the Leviathan axe, badass name, and you kind of forget about these Blades of Chaos. So what an incredible moment when you like pick it up and you're like, he just wraps the chains around his arms, being like, I don't want to do this, but I guess I gotta throw my wife's ashes to the wind. I can't do it without these blades, god damn it. So yeah, and then he goes on to kick way more ass, as you can see in all these footage that we're having here. Spoilers at the end, Atreus is actually named Loki, which is fun. My only exposure to, as among all of you, Norse mythology is the Avengers. So I'm like, Loki, Tom Hiddleston's in this. Tom Hiddleston is in this game. That's funny. But I don't really, it's exciting. Atreus is Loki. What could that mean for the future God of War series? Speaking of Thor, Thor makes a cameo at the very end of the game where you return back home, and it's such a fun little thing. It makes you're dying to know what happens for the future of this series and or where it's gonna go. So this game like blew my mind. It's as good as everyone's saying it is. Maybe it's not perfect. I would never give if people's standard is 10 out of 10 has to be completely perfect. I think that's just kind of a shitty scale. I think 10-point scale should be 1, I don't care for it. 10, I super recommend. 10, I have nothing but good feelings about it. You can criticize anything. Nothing is perfect. But if you feel really good about something, sure, give it a 10. Because in this game, hell, man, you see this giant serpent in the sky, not sky, but in the background, it's always there. You fight a dragon, you fight a bunch of giants. Kratos kicks so much ass, and the gameplay is just ridiculously satisfying. Let's check back on chat here. Let's do a little chitty chat. I'm gonna close this window. You guys are seeing too much of how the sausage is made. It is extremely difficult to live edit and do this podcast and look at chat at the exact same time. Let's see here. Tom Hiddleston, 7th Infinity Stone. Hashtag pop culture reference. Megan Murphy. Yes, Laura. I love how Laura and Megan Murphy are having this just chat while I'm talking about God of War. It's great. It's great. This is not sarcasm, by the way. It sounds like sarcasm. It's not. It's not. I just love that you guys are literally just talking and catching up, because I assume you don't get to catch up very often. So that's what this platform is for. It's not just talking about tongue stuff. It's also where you guys get to talk about whatever with each other. And I think that's fun. The room where it happened. Hamilton. Hashtag Hamilton. Okay, let's move on to the very final topic. Now, once again, this little break, I need a break, brought to you by kombucha, brought to you by a SCOBY. Here we go. Just cleanse my palate a little bit. Just a little palate cleanser. Okay. Let's go on to the very final topic here. And let me just pull it up here. All right. Here we go, everyone. We are talking about Solo, a Star Wars story. Okay. This movie we just saw last night, and my opinion of it might be kind of tampered a little bit because Laura and I went to see it at 9:40 p.m. Or close to 10 o'clock is when the movie actually started. So we're kind of tired. We just played Ultimate Frisbee and lost, sadly. Great game, valiant effort, but we lost. And then we went to see Solo, which I was, kind of excited for. The trailers really didn't do much for me kind of jumping into the movie. So I had pretty tempered expectations. I heard that people liked it, but they didn't love it. And that's kind of what I was going off of. So basically, when we went in, there was, I don't know, I want to say there was maximum 20 people that was in the theater, maximum. And it's kind of sad because Solo literally came out last week. So it's kind of oh, it's not doing too well. So I did some research here, and I saw that Solo did, let's see, in the box office, it was $250 million to make this movie, and it only pulled in $103 million. And to most people, you're like, $103 million, that's a fucking lot of money. It's kind of not, especially for a Star Wars movie. Just for context, Avengers Infinity War opened to $630 million on opening weekend, which is amazing. That's an anomaly. That's crazy. Marvel deserves all that. Deadpool 2 earned $125 million right out the gate. But for a Star Wars film, $103 million worldwide, I believe, is not very good. But that said, I don't think it's not a terrible movie. People should go see this. If you're a Star Wars fan, you should go see this movie, because the way they set up this movie, it really seems like they will plan for stuff in the future, and they put seeds in here that they can actually, even though it's a prequel of Han Solo, they put a bunch of little Easter eggs here that probably will have rippling effects into other Star Wars stories, or maybe even in the main trilogies that they'll be doing. Let's start off with Alden Ehrenreich. Alden Ehrenreich. I don't know how you say his name. I actually don't know this actor. Apparently he's in that Coen Brothers movie, Hail Caesar. But is he a good Solo? I'd say yes. I thought he was a lot of fun. I'm not one of those type of people who are there can only be one actor that plays this one character forever, and after that character doesn't want to do it anymore, then we gotta axe that character forever, blah blah blah. No. Alden, I thought, did a great job as an optimistic Han Solo, a young Han Solo. So he was fine. I heard he needed a lot of coaching lessons, but I think he kind of nailed it by the end of it. I was completely on board with his acting throughout the film. It was completely fine. Big standout obviously is Donald Glover. That guy has been getting lots of love lately, and for good reason. This guy is a multi-talented freaking all-star. Donald Glover is Lando. Obviously he pays off. He's just a good character. He just knows how to act. Donald Glover, crazy guy. Look at me, I'm stuttering because I just love him so much. Community, great show. Childish Gambino, great music. Anyways, I digress. So we have a lot of fun with his character. But the only criticism I would have is, since he did such a good job, I wanted to see more of him, but I guess there isn't enough time for that. General vibe of the movie, I kind of had a hard time. I didn't know what to expect from this movie. I thought it was going to be straight up fun hijinks and just comedy is what they were going for. And it was a funny movie, but I didn't really laugh out loud per se much at all, I would say. Like I was expecting like Thor Ragnarok kind of level, or to a or bigger extent maybe like Guardians of the Galaxy type of humor. But we had a really cheeky, kind of cheesy jokes throughout the movie. So the humor was fine, but it made me smile. It didn't make me chuckle that out loud, except for a couple parts. There's a lot of like, heavy stuff going on in the movie too. So I feel like it was hard to balance their drama versus humor. And I just couldn't find what tone they were ending up going with, which makes me really curious what Phil Lord and Chris Miller would have done if they had their hands on the movie. If they had their hands on the movie, I thought they were the creators of Lego Movie and 21 Jump Street and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs and Clone High. I thought it was going to be more of like a comedy movie, but I read today that it might have been a grittier movie in their hands. So I don't really know what they would have done, but I would have been curious. But, Ron Howard is a completely competent director. He's been around forever. God knows what he's doing. I'm impressed he was able to even save this project. He went on board 8 days after Phil Lord and Chris Miller quit or got fired. So 8-day turnaround to kind of fix up the movie. That's pretty good. Let's see. Let's check in with chat. It's been a while. Will there be a VOD of this? Yes. I don't know. We'll see. Tyler Furness, friend of the show. Donald Glover, Megan Murphy she has cat heart emojis. Let's keep going. The train heist movie that you kind of see in the trailer. Honestly, I was kind of really excited about it because everyone's like, the train heist part of the movie, and you watch it and you're like, yeah, that was okay, that was all right. Like I don't know, I guess I might have been overhyped about that part of the movie, but it was completely fine. The train is kind of cool, as you can see up here. There's a little bit of action going on, and the train kind of like goes horizontal and vertical, which seems pretty impractical for a train to do, but whatever. It would be practical if there was mountains and stuff to go through, but literally it would just go sideways for no reason. Train architecture, am I right? There is Woody Harrelson too. He has a character named Beckett, who, I don't know how I feel. Like, I love Woody Harrelson, but I feel like recently he's just been doing his Woody Harrelson thing, and that's completely fine. Like, he's great, but I don't know. He didn't blow me away in this movie. His twist, quote unquote, at the end of the movie is seen from a mile away. And he does this thing where he like spins his guns around like in a big war zone. Like, he's literally in a huge war zone. There, lots of cloud and smokes going around. Like, the impracticality of spinning your gun just for like cool effect is kind of hilarious, because no one can see you do that except for the movie watchers, and you're not tricking anybody that is in the war, I guess. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of silly. And then Han's like, teach me how to do that. So they have a part in the movie where how Han got his name, and which I thought was supposed to be like a big moment in the movie. And I was like, yeah, that's one way to handle how he got his name. I never even thought about that. Han never, I guess Solo was never his last name. It just came to be. I won't spoil how it happens. It's all right. It's completely fine. Let's see here. What else do we want to say? Emilia Clarke, Mother of Dragons, if you will, Queen of the Andals. I was trying to think of all her titles. You got her. Laura made a good point. She said that Star Wars films lately has been getting a lot of British female actresses. So we have Daisy Ridley, we have Felicity Jones, and now we have Emilia Clarke. And I guess Emilia Clarke signed on for a multi-story deal with Star Wars, but nothing is set in stone with that either. And it's just, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Like, I like her as a person. I like her as an actor. As a person, as like all the videos I've seen with her, commentary and interviews with her, she seems like a really funny person. And then watching her on the big screen, she does a fine job. But her character in the movie, it was all right. It was okay. I guess nothing to complain about. I was just afraid that she was just going to be just the love interest in the movie. Turns out she has a little bit more going for her, which they don't exactly fully explain too. So that's the thing, is that this movie does a lot, but also kind of just stays the same. It doesn't really add too much to the past or the canon. That you kind of just like, hey, the Kessel Run happened. How did it happen? He won the Millennium Falcon. How did that happen? Speaking of that scene where Han finally wins the Millennium Falcon at a game of sabacc with Lando Calrissian was probably my favorite part of the movie, I would say. Let's see here. I'm gonna go ahead and throw up the spoilers icon here. So spoilers. Spoiler sound here. Bam, bam. That's okay. Let's go on to talk about how Han won the Millennium Falcon. So he kind of like plays the game of sabacc. It was like a Yu-Gi-Oh thing where like he hugs Lando, steals the card, and he's like, because Lando was cheating by having like this robot kind of card holder, and it baffles me that nobody's seen him have that before. But anyways, Han catches him in a lie and steals the card from him, and boom, he wins. Another big spoiler part that I wanted to get to was the introduction or reintroduction of Darth freaking Maul. So that's probably like the biggest, like, wow, Darth Maul's in this movie. That's insane. That's great. I guess in the animated shows, which I haven't really watched, Darth Maul has been alive for this entire time, and all that animated stuff has been approved as canon now, the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. So it's been well known for a long time that Darth Maul lived by being cut in half by Obi-Wan. But it's cool to see him in like the actual movies now, where he has like a robot leg. He looks a lot older. And Kira, Emilia Clarke's character, turns out was working for Darth Maul this entire time and killing Paul Bettany's character Dryden. Which the entire time all I could think about was Dryden, Ontario. They were working for Darth Maul the entire time. And just quickly on Paul Bettany, I just thought like the depiction of his bad guy was all right, but like throughout the movie, I think my biggest problem is that I just I didn't know what the stakes were in the movie. It didn't feel like it was too heavy. Like I didn't like not. Like compare Rogue One, my favorite Star Wars movie. Rogue One had like this big thing, like this is life or death. We gotta steal these plans because the Empire, like they're fucking us up. We gotta steal these plans because this is our only hope. In this movie, you're like, all right, we gotta steal this MacGuffin in order to pay off this bad guy who works for another bad guy, which we don't find out till later. And Paul Bettany, the bad guy we think is the bad guy, is kind of not really there the entire movie. So I just don't feel like there's a lot of stakes that are happening. Lots of cool moments, but didn't feel like that emotional pull of what they were doing. One more thing on Paul Bettany is I thought it was a kind of fun style choice where he wears like a suit, but like half of his suit is also a cape. So on its left side or right side, it's just like suit, cape. So thought that was kind of fun. Let's see here. L3, the robot, a little snarky, wise robot, your C-3PO, your K-2SO. I have mixed feelings about, honestly. I saw her. It's fun. There's a female robot. She says some fun stuff. Maybe the audience in the theater was kind of the reason why I didn't find her that great, but all of her lines didn't really do anything for me. So she was completely fine, but she wasn't set up well enough for me to think that like, oh, she is like an important character to die. Like she dies and Lando holds her, and there's like kind of supposed to be an emotional weight to it, but she gets introduced really quickly and she dies really quickly. She has a couple snarky remarks in between, and that's kind of it. So I kind of mixed feelings about her. I'm glad they have a female robot because that's awesome, and she does say some really funny stuff, but I don't know. The humor didn't hit as hard for me as like say K2SO, Alan Tudyk's robot did. Any other things that I wanted to talk about? Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, the movie was fine. I just think it was kind of predictable the entire way. You can see Emilia Clarke's character kind of betraying Paul Bettany's character, like from a mile away. And the twist of Woody Harrelson's character at the end also wasn't that interesting. Fun to see Han shoot first. Fun to see him go from optimistic kind of pilot into like this kind of cynical burglar, outlaw, if you will. And so you do get to see that journey throughout the movie. It's just, I think it could have been handled better. But then again, I think this movie could have been handled a lot worse. So I'm happy that it exists. I think people should still watch it. And last thing I'll say about this movie is I think that there's something about John Williams' music that is, it's crazy. It just makes everything in the movie seem more kind of intense and just better overall. So like I was thinking like halfway through the movie, I'm like, if I was to watch this movie without that music, what would this movie be like? And I was like, it probably wouldn't be half as good. So kudos to John Williams and his awesome Star Wars music once again. Let's see, Tongue, dinner's in 10 minutes. All right, I better get going. Obi-Wan takes him out in 2 swings, so I don't really care. He's back right now. Right. All right, so I better start wrapping this up because Laura's calling me. This episode went on a little bit longer than I thought it would, and it's really hot in this room. It's extremely hot in this room. I'm sweating buckets here. But yeah, thanks for joining us on the very first episode of Talkin' Tongue. Does anyone want to say stuff? Want any shout outs in the audience here? You know what? I shout out to you people. Thank you for indulging me in this. I had a lot of fun. This is going to be a monthly show. I'm going to post it on YouTube. I'll post the whole video on Facebook or whatever. I'm going to try to make that, what am I saying? The podcast feed for it. And yeah, that's it. All right, everyone. Thanks again for joining me. This has been Talkin' Tongue. Have a good one. I'm really excited about June, by the way. June, E3's coming up. The Incredibles 2, Jurassic World. That might be good. I don't know. Video games, Mario Tennis. I think there's some good stuff in the horizon. I'm excited for this show. Thanks again, friends. See you later.